Stepped on the scene, dripped in saline. Whole crew shining, call me Mr. Clean. Came in from the back, walked right to the front. Dancing to the music, smoking on the. Got the women smiling, punk grilling me, looking all dusty. Black Force energy, I don't even drink, but the team pop bottles. Not here for the beef, but the Glock holds hollows. Think I'm cocky, but I think I'm worse. In this flexing like a Mr. Universe.
The next topic we're going to discuss on Boxing Bros is how many pay-per-view buys will Canelo versus Jermell Charlo generate? We're going to start with Conspiracy.
All right.
Mr. Conspiracy, how many pay-per-view buys do you see this fight doing?
With all due respect, I'm gonna say 400,000. You know
Whoa!
Yeah, and I'm being generous, to be honest. You know, because Charlo, he's been inactive. You know, so that's gonna be a problem. I feel like the marketing isn't as strong as it should be. That's another problem. And like just looking at Canelo's past, like I remember when we did Plant, I forgot how much he did, but that wasn't too good. And when Canelo fought Triple G, the third one, the pay-per-view sales weren't good at all either. Now that one could have been because it was on the zone, I don't know. But you know, the last couple haven't really looked too good, you know what I'm saying? And although Charlo is an undisputed champion, you know, his star power is fading, you know, so I don't really think people are looking out for Charlo like that. And it's gonna just be Canelo carrying this pay-per-view. So I think, I'm being honest, I just think it's gonna and I'm on a high note, I'm thinking around 400K. I don't even think it's gonna hit half. I don't even think it's gonna be 500,000. So 400K, I think, is the safe number.
All right, Dollar Bill.
I'm thinking I put everything together. I know this hasn't been a lot of promotion, so I'm not doing no $1 million run. But I do know it's been a long time since people want to see Canelo's the Mexican holiday. I'm throwing that out there. Then you got Undisputed versus Undisputed, the real diehards of boxing and the real combat sports guys. Then I'm talking about some of the novice, some of the parties that's going to be going on, some of the bars and other things that's going on. I'm thinking 750,000 to 880,000 in buys around the board. I'm thinking from Mexico to the U.S., even to the U.K. I did a little survey, and it seems like a lot of our brothers and sisters across the pond are looking forward to this fight as well. So I think that it will do some numbers. I don't think it can crack 1 million, but I think with the late coming in, that the late roundup and coming up with all the parties and everything going on, and I think we can get a 750,000. The most we can get is probably 880,000.
Interesting numbers from you two gentlemen. I do think you're too low, G, for sure.
Y'all bugging. You know what I'm saying?
And I think I'm gonna go in really high because I think Canelo versus John Ryder did like 600,000. So I think Jermell is definitely gonna bring in more people than that.
It says him and John Ryder did 300 to 400,000.
Okay. What about Triple G?
With the third one?
Yeah.
550,000.
How many?
550,000.
That's what I'm thinking about. 600,000. So I think Mel's going to bring in more than that. So I think 750 is a solid number, but I actually think it's going to do around 900,000 pay-per-view buys to slightly over 1 million. And here's why.
And Plant did 800,000.
Yeah, but Plant doesn't really have a fan base in boxing. Plant did how many?
800,000.
And here's where I want to cap on that. Jermell is black. Canelo is Mexican. undisputed versus undisputed. And in the history of boxing, you got Floyd Mayweather with these big fights fighting Mexicans. You go back to Aaron Pryor, Chavez, right? You go back to these fights generate money for Mexico. And anytime you have a Mexican fighting a slick black American fighter, those fights tend to sell well because people don't like to talk about it, but the reality is the reality. It's what sells in the sport of boxing.
Let the black and browns beat them.
But the views and opinions of Trill. But
I was just joking.
well, no, Trill, because the reality is, if you look at one of the things that Rick Glazer said, he said that Terrence Crawford versus Earl Spence suffered because both of the fighters were black and appealed to the same demographic. Well, here you have Jermell Charlo, who's going to appeal to the black demographic, and you have Canelo, who's going to appeal to the Mexicans and the Latinos. So basically what you have is you have a recipe that is known for success. So that's one aspect of the fight. The other aspect of the fight is they're both undisputed. Well, at least Jermell's undisputed until the bell rings, and then automatically he's being stripped of his WBO, which is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But they're both undisputed versus undisputed. So that's a selling point that you can bring to the masses. And I don't know if this has ever been done in the sport of boxing, so you have that aspect of it. But the other thing is, you said something that I think is very important. You said that Canelo is on the decline and his star is fading. And I think there are people who are going to realistically tune in for this to see Canelo lose. And they're going to believe that there's a real probability that he can lose to Jermell based on his last few performances. And just like people tune in to see Floyd lose, I think there are going to be a lot of people who fork over dollars to see Canelo lose. And so I think that's going to be another thing that drives the sales for this fight up. So I'm predicting 900,000 to slightly over 1 million. Go ahead, G.
But did y'all also factor in UFC possibly having a pay-per-view on the same night? You know, because they have a huge fan base as well. And, you know, you're asking like a lot of combat sport fans to pick between MMA and boxing on that night. You know, and so depending on who Canelo's going up against, you know, like on the UFC side, could also take away from his sales.
Have you ever been to Mexico?
Yeah, actually I have.
I know.
I mean, yeah.
Second question. What was the biggest sport in Mexico when you were there?
It's either boxing or soccer. You know what I'm saying? Like,
did you hear anything about UFC at all when you were in Mexico?
Nah. No, trust me. The Mexican pay-per-view is locked in. I gotta see like.
I'm asking you a question. Hold on now.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
You are a black man, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
The only reason why I'm asking is because someone had an issue with you wearing black
yards.
Yeah. For the record, if you don't get it, what's understood doesn't need to be explained sometimes, but I'm gonna help you out. Yeah. You know, that's a classic. That's from a classic movie in our culture called CB4. Dirty Mike. If you don't get it, then you just don't get it. Mm-hmm. G wasn't wearing a shirt to tell you he was black. He was wearing the shirt from the culture of the movie. But anyways, you are black though, G, right? Mm-hmm. So black culture, what do you think is bigger in black culture, boxing or UFC?
Oh, it's boxing. But this is the thing. It's because of Charlo's inactivity. That's why I'm like, I don't think the pay-per-view is going to be as ideal like y'all are thinking, because Charlo hasn't really been active in the ring like that. You know what I'm saying? So, like, just, I don't know. It's like, there was more excitement with Canelo versus Plant than there are right now for Canelo versus Charlo. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm like, I don't know, man. It's hard for me to even say anything close to 800K for this. When I know, like, you know, there was even the slap, or the attempt, you know what I mean? Like that attempt that Plant tried to hit him with, that was like great marketing for that fight. You know what I mean? There was like an excellent buildup. With Charlo and Canelo, there's no tension, bro. It's like, I don't know. It's nothing's there to grab people to be like, yo, I need to see this fight. That's why I'm like, I don't think it's gonna do as good as previous fights that we've seen Canelo in.
I don't think they need the gimmick, bro. Like when Caleb Plant was fighting Canelo, it was for Undisputed. So it was Canelo actually fighting for Undisputed. That's what sold that fight. In this fight, you have Jamel daring to be great, moving up 2 weight classes, looking to make history to face Canelo Alvarez. You have Canelo Alvarez, who a lot of people believe is on the decline. You have Jamel, who is taller, and quite frankly, he's going to show up bigger than Canelo during fight night. And people remember what happened with Dimitri Bivol. What happened to Dimitri Bivol, by the way? Where is he at? What's he doing?
Yeah, but that fight only sold 520,000 pay-per-view buys.
Again, that was Canelo carrying that fight by himself. Bivol can't even get a fight, bro. What are you talking about? Bivol can't even. How many fights has Bivol been the main event for prior to fighting Canelo?
No, I agree.
What's his history?
That's why I think, it's
he's no Mel.
Yeah. All right. I don't know, man. Listen, I would love to be wrong. I'm gonna say this. You know me, I'll be the first one like, yeah, I got that. And I would love to be wrong because I would love to see Charlo get back to where he used to be. But I don't know. Right now, I don't know. I think it's just wishful thinking. You know what I mean?
All right. Well, we'll revisit this when the numbers come out. But G has 400,000. Trail has anywhere between 750 to 880,000. I have 900 to 1 million. 900,000 to 1 million. So we'll see what's up. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Remember, you can listen to our podcast on all major streaming services. We are the Boston Bros.
I feel it in my soul. Can you feel me? My money right. It came so cold in my cell, all them lonely nights. Stay 10 toes.